So now we're with Donna from Memo, which is a menopause support community right here in the capital. And Donna, you were on a panel with me just now.
Yes, I was.
We were talking about menopause to the beautiful audience here at the GCC Menopause Summit. First, I'm going to ask you, where on your journey in menopause are you?
Okay, I'm still currently enjoying the delights of perimenopause.
Great, brilliant. So
It is. I know, isn't it wonderful?
Well, I heard the other day that it can be anything from 7 to 10 years.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, well, we're pleased about that. So I wanted to ask you, whilst you've been on this sort of perimenopause journey, what symptom has surprised you the most?
I think the one that's really stood out for me is the symptoms connected with mental health. I'm not connecting the two because that was one of my first major symptoms, and I have had mental health issues in the past, and I wasn't aware that when you're going through perimenopause with the ups and downs of these wonderful hormones, that it can re-emerge again. So when I started to experience dips in mental health, I just thought, right, okay, here we go again, not realising that actually this is part and parcel of perimenopause. So I put up with it. I continued on for a couple of years, and then it's only when I did my own research that I started to join the dots and thought, oh my word, this is part of perimenopause, and I had no awareness.
And that's the thing, isn't it? There wasn't conversations about it. I mean, I really feel that maybe the last year or 2 years maybe, there's been conversations around it. And you started your group how many years ago?
It's over 6.5 years now.
Right, so your community is about 6.5 years old, and you started it when there were no conversations.
There was nothing, absolutely nothing. So it was really hard to get the support, advice, and to actually get a diagnosis as well. And alongside that was the lack of HRT, and what was available was the old synthetic. We didn't have anybody identical that we have now, so it was a really challenging time. And to gain any kind of awareness or knowledge, me personally, I had to resort back to the UK and the conversations that were happening there. And that, in essence, is why I formed the Middle East Menopause Organisation, because there was nothing. And as you've already mentioned, as women, we're all going to go through it. I'm not on my own in experiencing these symptoms, and felt compelled, right, I've got to build a community. I need to do something about it.
Right, yeah, and we're all very grateful for that.
You're very welcome.
And so that moves us on to what something like this actually means to the women of Abu Dhabi, the GCC Menopause Summit. What do you think then it means to the women here?
It gives them a wonderful platform for a conversation, an open conversation. Nothing is off topic. It helps to raise awareness, but more importantly, it empowers the woman with knowledge. So it gives her tools that she can put into her menopause toolbox, and it helps her to form her menopause journey and the routes that she wants to take to address her symptoms.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's been some wonderful conversations going on over the last couple of hours, and there's still more to come. So thank you, Donna. I really appreciate your input. See you later.
Bye.
So we are here today with Dr. Amar from Mediclinic Abu Dhabi. He is a consultant gynecologist, and we're going to talk a few things about menopause. Dr. Amar, I've got a quick question for you. First of all, symptoms in menopause. I'd love to know what the surprise symptoms are that people know about hot flushes, they know about libido, they know all of this, but what are the surprise ones that people don't necessarily realise that actually could be a symptom of perimenopause?
I mean, most of it is usually to do with the brain farts, sleep deprivation, lack of sleep, inability to concentrate, trying to find the words and unable to find it. Really, these are the stuff which makes women really struggle at work and come and see you sometimes.
Yeah, okay. And what do you say that women can do to combat that? Or not combat it, but make it a little bit easier?
I mean, of course, they need to recognize it, they need to talk about it, speak to women who are going through the same stages in their life. Come and access healthcare. We can help them by providing them with counseling sometimes medications, whether it's a hormonal or non-hormonal medication.
Okay, and if we speak about medications, one of the things a lot of people don't realise is testosterone is quite an important hormone to put back into your body?
Absolutely. So it's not just about the progesterone and estrogen. The hormone which is often forgotten about is testosterone. And testosterone is particularly important for brain health. Not just for libido, but also for your brain function, brain cells, ability to concentrate, ability to sleep well. So if women are finding it difficult and they are already on hormonal therapy in the way of estrogen, they can also have testosterone. Now, of course, there are regulations and there are so many rules about when and how to start testosterone because it's an off-license medication, but it is available, it's accessible, it is within our guidelines, and we prescribe it on a daily basis.
Okay, and last question. What do you think something like the GCC Menopause Summit is offering to the women and the men of the capital?
Well, it's an amazing summit. It's a continuation of the conversation, and I am very, very proud to see the crowd and the people here who are turning up from different gender, male and female, different level of education and different ages as well.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that conversation and increase awareness. Thank you for making it happen.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us.
Shukran. Thank you.
We are here with Juliet in Abu Dhabi, as her Instagram handle says. You'll see her dotted around Abu Dhabi, taking in the sights and giving you all an idea of what's happening in the capital. I wanted to check with you, Juliet. Where are you on your menopause journey right now?
Okay, so it's quite interesting. I'm 59 and I don't know where I am on it. My life has been a blur since I was in my 40s. When I was in my 40s, I didn't really have many symptoms. I had an itchy ear, which is a bit surprising. Obviously, I gained weight and I had a bit of lack of sleep. And then now I'm actually, I'm going to learn today, but I think I'm post-menopausal.
Yeah, okay, because they actually say that menopause is, you have perimenopause, and then menopause is like one day, and then you're in post.
Yes.
And so you've gone through 7 to maybe 10 years of perimenopause. One day is menopause, and then you've got the rest of your life in post-menopause.
Yeah, so I'm a Wonder Woman now.
Well, I would say that actually, because seeing what you're doing on Instagram and, being around the capital all the time, I know it is hard work. So we're in this situation where you taking whatever point you are on menopause and running with it, really.
That's right, yeah. And of course, when you hit your 40s, I had my kids in my 30s, and then they're leaving, so you're suddenly an empty nester. So, you probably don't know, am I experiencing perimenopause, menopause, depression, anxiety, because your kids have left? And you're beginning a completely new chapter. You've lost a whole part of your normal routine in life, and you've just got to reset for the next chapter, which is definitely what I'm doing now, and living it to the full. So, everyone thought, oh, it's miserable, but I can actually say I'm rather excited about it.
Yeah, and I think going back to what we kind of talked about on our panel, you're at this stage where just kind of don't really care what others think, and you don't mind saying, no, I'm not going to do that, because it serves you better. And we spend so much time serving everybody else.
Exactly.
So when you're in this stage of your life, you're really just like, okay, you know what? That's not good for me, so I'm not going to do that.
That is so true. I think probably, in your 40s, you're a mom, you're trying to please everyone, trying to do the right things like everyone else is doing. And then suddenly you hit your 50s and you think, no, it's time for me to make my own decisions and to go with that, really. And you probably do become less tolerant of people, and you're a bit more selective.
Yes, absolutely. Selective is the right word.
Yeah.
So one last question. What was a symptom that really surprised you? I know you didn't really know what your menopause journey was, but what was a symptom that really surprised you, maybe even now, that you were going through that you didn't realise was part of the perimenopause or the menopause?
Yeah, so it was my itchy ears. I didn't realise, and no one ever mentioned it to me until I read a book and it said itchy ears was a symptom. I thought, my God, that's why I had them. So that was my.
And was that for a really long time?
Yes, yeah, it was for quite a few years.
Wow.
And stuff. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
My gosh. My
Yeah,
gosh.
I went to the doctor for it, and of course I was eczema in the ear, but I don't think it was. I think it was just menopause of some form.
And that's a difficult thing because, as I said earlier on the panel, you can get diagnosed as something else because potentially you're not the right age
That's right.
to be in perimenopause or menopause or whatever it is. So that's quite a frustrating thing, I think, as a person, as a woman,
Yeah.
to kind of say, I know something's not right and it's not been right for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And still no one can do anything about
Yeah,
it. So it's
no one can tell you.
No one can. So it's amazing that we're having these conversations
Yeah, I
today.
think it's fantastic. I mean, 10 years ago in Abu Dhabi, this would never have happened. And it's just so educational, informative for people. I mean, I'm learning so much today. It's wonderful.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks
And,
for having me.
No, not at all. It's brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, we're here with Dr. Sadaf, family medicine consultant and menopause specialist at Cleveland Clinic. Thank you, Dr. Sadaf, for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
No, not at all. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the conversations that you are having with your patients in your clinic. So you run a menopause clinic at Cleveland. So I just wanted to know what kind of either questions or symptoms that people are really coming to you with.
So I guess it really depends why they've come. So we listen to the reason the patient's here. Usually they're not feeling well, or they're not feeling like themselves. They might be feeling more tired, or they might not have the same level of energy, or they might be feeling a bit down or anxious, or they may be noticing some physical changes like in their weight and their sleep. So it really depends on why they've come, and then we think about all the reasons that could be causing that. And it can be some medical causes, organic causes, and we screen them. Through the back of our mind, we're thinking, can it be hormonal? And if we think it's hormonal, we ask specific questions to screen for whether that's what it could be. And that's where we ask specifically about mood, sleep, temperature changes, weight changes, all the whole long list of symptoms that people experience.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I know with my own journey, it took 3 clinicians, physicians, before somebody actually looked at maybe how I'm feeling and what I'm feeling and then put it down to perimenopause. Even though in myself, I kind of felt like it was that.
Yeah.
But as humans, we're going to the specialists or the experts or the people that know.
Yeah.
And so, that was quite a journey, and I think I'm there now. But I think what I would love to know is a little bit about symptoms that maybe, you've been a doctor for a long time, so have there been symptoms that have come up that maybe you didn't learn about in the past, that maybe surprised you or surprised the other person?
Yeah, I think one of the things, you think about perimenopause and you think about hot flashes and night sweats, and what I've learned is that whilst lots of people have those, they're not always the first sign. So the most notable thing for me is how many women experience panic attacks or anxiety or palpitations, and how many people really start off with a change in their mental health, how many people present for the first time with anxiety and depression or ADD or ADHD that they didn't know they had. And I think that because they're not classic menopausal symptoms that immediately jumps to people's minds, often those people don't realise it could be hormonal, and the person that they're seeing might not be thinking that as the first thing. I've had lots of very young patients who've just had babies, so they're definitely not thinking that they're perimenopausal, start to experience palpitations and difficulty sleeping, and realising very late that was actually hormonal.
Interesting. Yeah, I think a lot of people are actually experiencing it much younger, which was, kind of not scary, but I think we've all grown up thinking it's going to happen when we're 40 or 50, and suddenly you're in your 30s and it's happening. So, and speaking about conversations that people are having with you, what do you think something like the GCC Menopause Summit is offering the women of Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, it's great. As a menopause specialist, I spend a lot of my time talking at conferences about menopause, but usually speaking to other healthcare professionals, which is also very important because everybody needs to be educated. But there's been a lack of structured sessions and access to specialists for
for regular people, and they're actually the ones who need to know what to look out for so that they can start recognizing things early, but they can also start implementing things in their lifestyle that will make a big difference. You know, the women that I see, the ones who are by far doing better are the ones who are exercising regularly. And if you knew in your early perimenopause that exercising and changing the type of exercise would have such a big impact on how you feel, for sure you would implement that, right? But many people don't know that. Yeah. So I think it's such an amazing opportunity to have specialists and people who need those services all in the same space, and in a safe space and a comfortable space to ask questions and learn from one another.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
So I'm joined by Melissa, whose story is a little bit different. So when we talk about menopause, we always think it happens later on in your life or later on in women's lives. But Melissa's got a slightly different story. So would you like to tell us a little bit about your story?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Asha, for having me. So I was diagnosed with stage 1 breast cancer in 2021, and I went through treatment in 2022. I did the whole shebang. I did surgery, chemo, and radiation, and I'm now on a 5-year hormone suppressant plan. So chemo immediately threw me into menopause. I stopped my periods immediately. And after all the treatments, I'm on monthly Zoladex injections and daily tamoxifen pills, and I haven't had a period in over 4 years now. So thrust into menopause a bit young.
Yeah, very young. So how's that been for you? Because, you know, like I said, a lot of us, it happens to us in maybe our 40s, for example. So how's it been for you in your 30s? You know, they say 30s is when everything happens for you, but that's not true. I would tell you in my 40s, everything has happened for me. But how's it been with that happening to you in your 30s?
That's encouraging.
I promise you. I can show you here, everything happened in my 40s.
It's been an eye-opener. So I remember when my mom went through menopause and she was like stand in front of the freezer, and now I understand. It wasn't easy in the beginning, but I've definitely adjusted to it. I think when you think of the potential different outcomes of cancer, for example, it could be a lot worse. I try to look on the bright side of life as much as I possibly can, and yeah, it's your friends don't really understand. Like I'll walk around with a fan, and it'll be like, "Are you hot?" And I'm like, "Yes, no, I don't know. Sometimes."
Yeah,
it's different.
I'm sure it is, and I think it's been. For you, it seems that you've taken it in your stride a little, because as you said, the outcomes could have been very different. And so you're not just going through menopause, you're also going through other treatments as well, right? Or you have to keep checking on yourself, you have to go in. It's not just the menopause that you're checking on, it's also the cancer side of it as well.
Yeah, 100%. And it's that difficult transition. I didn't go through perimenopause. I went straight into no periods, fellas, that's it. And I found that my life before menopause and my life during menopause, completely 100% different. The workouts that I used to do they don't work the same. The food I used to eat, it doesn't work the same. So I've had to reorganize and readjust absolutely every aspect of my life to suit it. So yeah, but it is what it is, and I have found looking on the bright side helps. But saying that, I do recognize that looking on the bright side is one thing, but it doesn't negate hardships that anyone has gone through. So it's important to acknowledge that you can go through hardships and you can fully experience them and fully appreciate them as hard things that you've gone through. But you can look on the bright side at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, it's something we're all going to go through at some point in our life. And I think the positivity side of it is really, really important. A lot of the conversations that I've been having with people are like, oh, I've got hot flushes. Oh, I can't do the exercises I wanted to do. oh, I don't, my fingers are freezing, all of these things. And it's just like, luckily for us, I think there are so many solutions out there as well, or things that can help it.
Yes.
So, yeah, for you going through it in your 30s, I think you are an inspiration to people.
Thanks,
just
Asha.
being able to show them that it is possible to get through it, go through other symptoms as well, not just menopausal symptoms, and be able to come out of it on the other side. And you're still going through it right now, right?
I'm still going through it. Yeah, I still have 1 year left of my sentence. I'm not sure if I will remain in menopause afterwards or revert back. So it's grey areas. Sometimes people do, sometimes people don't.
Okay. So that's kind of strange as well, right? Because you've gone through it and then you're going back to where you start, where most people start.
Potentially, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well,
So at least when it happens later, I'll know what to do, what to expect.
That's an interesting question. This is something I'm going to ask probably some people as we go through. What's one thing about going through menopause that has surprised you? Like maybe a symptom or something else?
I miss my periods. It's odd because when you're young and your period's such like an inconvenience, but it tells you so much about your body. There's the rhythm that your body goes through within a cycle. It's there for a reason, and it can help you live your life better. I remember a couple of days ago, actually, a colleague of mine said, when I get my period, I'm like a monster. I get so cranky. And I'm like, yeah, but that's your body telling you something, right? So it's signals from your body that you can use to be more in tune with yourself. So I miss that cycle and that flow. And surprisingly.
Well, that's really interesting because I think when things happen to us, it's like the worst thing in the world. And actually, there's worse things in the world that are happening, right? So when you get your period, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got my period. It's ruining everything. But actually, there's people going through a lot worse.
Yeah.
So, but listen, it's been brilliant to have you here. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit today.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. We're here with Dr. Sandro, dermatologist at Elysee Hospital in Abu Dhabi. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you for having me.
No, not at all. Now, you're an expert. Well, you just did a talk on peptides.
Yeah.
And so how peptides are important when women are going through a menopausal state. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I can say a little bit about that. So we know that when menopause hits, we have a lot of issues coming along together. We have cognitive decline, loss of sexual desire. You start aging faster. You start having loss of gaining weight. You start gaining weight easier than before. So everything changed during menopause. Okay, so now peptides, I used to say the peptides, they're not the future, they're the present, they're already here. And there are peptides basically for everything. And there's specifically some peptides that will help a lot with some of these problems that happen during menopause.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can cite some of them, like for example, for when you have the cognitive decline, we can talk about like dihexa that increases brain plasticity. We can talk about Selank and Simex that improves the mood, that shifts a lot during the menopause. For losing weight, when you start to gain weight or accumulated fat on local fat, that happens a lot also after menopause, that it increases a lot, and there's a major concern of women. So we have, of course, the GLP-1s and inhibitors, but also we have those ones that focus on visceral fat, like the Simorelin, AOD 9604 that focus on localized fat. And for sexual arousal, when the loss of desire, and this is a thing that's very important, especially for relationships after menopause, that everything starts to go down. We have PT141 that works in the brain, in increasing the desire, the wanting the libido, increasing the libido. That's something amazing. Different from treatments that works directly downstairs, just increasing the blood flow, but there's nothing related to the desire. But now we can manage to focus increasing the sexual appetite and the libido of women. Also, we can talk about oxytocin that increases the bonds between the couples. And if you're in perimenopause, not in menopause, you can talk about kisspeptin that improves the release of the natural women natural hormones like LH and FSH. So there's a test for almost everything. If we talk about aging faster, when we start losing a lot of collagen, we can talk about the peptides for regeneration like GHK copper, BPC 157. So it's now we have unlimited resources with peptide that we can address a lot of different problems at the same time.
Awesome. And I think that's a conversation that isn't necessarily had very much. Like I knew a lot of people in that room didn't really know about peptides.
Exactly.
So why do you think a summit like this is so useful to women?
Well, I would say that some people that enter in the stage of being menopaused, sometimes they don't understand what actually is going on with them. They start to think that they have a problem. They start to think that the issues are coming from problems at work, with the family, with the husband, with the kids. They start shifting their moods and they start to think that they're the problems, and they forget that hormones and everything related causes sometimes 90% of the things that are happening inside their homes. So I think this is good to create an awareness between the community, not only for women, but I think behind the women there's also a family, there is a man, and everyone should be win this awareness all together. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to us today, Dr.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
And
Bye.
you.
Bye.